Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Betting with Bearman podcast presented by FanDuel Sportsbook and on the Believe Podcast Network. We're back here. It's Championship Sunday coming up. We got 4 teams left for the NFL Super Bowl, AFC and NFC Championship game, and I'm pleased to be joined by ESPN betting analyst Anita Marks. Anita and I go way, way back to our ESPN days. She used to call me the gatekeeper of the betting content at ESPN. I'm no longer there, but she is. Anita, welcome to the podcast.
You were the gatekeeper, hence why you got the name. Yes, we miss you over there at ESPN. So great to be on.
I miss all of you guys one by one. I'm having you guys on the podcast. Hope to hit Joe and Aaron and others one day. I've had Doug on a couple of times. It's good to see you again. I know we caught up earlier today, but let's dive in. Again, Betting with Bearman podcast presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. All the odds that we talk about today will be from FanDuel. Go on there and place the bets if you like what you hear. Anita's been covering the NFL for many, many years and has a lot of takes on these games. We're going to start in the AFC, where it's been a very, very long time since we've seen the New England Patriots with a chance to win the Super Bowl. Anita, I saw a tweet the other day that said there's second graders who do not know about the New England Patriots and their dynasty. So it's good that the second graders can get a little taste of the AFC Championship game. Obviously, a lot of sarcasm in my voice. I have a cousin who's 26 years old, and he hasn't seen the Dolphins win a playoff game. That being said, New England Patriots are currently a 4.5-point road dog, total of 43.5 at the Denver Broncos. Anita, this is not a game that anybody expected New England to be a 4.5-point favorite. Opened at 5.5 at FanDuel. Jarrett Stidham's a quarterback instead of Bo Nix. What is your read on this game?
Yeah, and they're saying that if Bo Nix would be active and attractive, of course we know he's not because of his injury, that the Denver Broncos would have been favored by 1.5. That's what the expectation was. So a few things. I think people are sleeping on Jarrett Stidham. And if you recall, when Jarrett Stidham was coming out of college, there was a big Jarrett Stidham fan. In fact, I wanted the Giants because I'm here in New York and I worked for the Giants for 7 years. I was really hoping that the Giants would draft him. They did not. He has not had a very successful NFL career as of yet. I think he is one of the best backups in the NFL. He believes he can be a starting quarterback on a team, and this is his opportunity to shine. And if the Denver Broncos, if he puts together a good performance, this is an opportunity for him. God willing that Denver beats the Patriots and goes to the Super Bowl. We've seen this before with Hostetler with the Giants back in the 90s. We also saw it with Nick Foles and the Philadelphia Eagles. This has happened before, and this wouldn't be a huge surprise, especially with Sean Payton, a quarterback whisperer, one of the best offensive-minded coaches in the NFL. Now, with that being said, I still think the Patriots are going to win, but I am staying away from a side here because, again, I just feel that people are sleeping on Jarrett Stidham. He is much better than what most people think. And I don't believe that Sean Payton is going to change his offensive philosophy. I think he's going to be throwing the ball a lot. And we're going to get into the prop bets in just a second. But what I do like in this matchup is I like the under for a number of reasons. Patriots defense, as we know, they've been running through teams, and all those teams have had offensive issues. Obviously, now we're seeing the Denver Broncos with this one because they're not rolling with their starting quarterback. But beyond that, Pat Bryant, one of their wide receivers, is dealing with a concussion. Troy Franklin is dealing with a hamstring issue. These are two excellent defenses, and to give Broncos credit where their credit deserves, top 5 defense in third down conversion rate, also red zone TD rate. And this is a Patriots run defense with Milton Williams back, as I like to say, active and attractive and healthy. Man, Woody Marks couldn't see daylight last week when they went up against the Houston Texans. So for me, I think this is going to be a defensive battle. So the play that I like in this matchup is the under. And again, I'm staying away from a side because I do believe that folks are underestimating Jarrett Stidham. If you were going to say, come on, Anita, play a side, I would probably take Denver in the points. But my favorite bet in this is the under at 41.5.
And we'll get into the props in a couple of minutes. I agree with you on the under. It was one of the plays that I had on VSiN on Tuesday night, and I agree because the Broncos ended the year as the second best in total defense, allowing 278 yards a game, third in scoring at 18 points per game, second in rush defense, tops in passing yards per play, And you look at the Patriots and give credit where credit's due. Mike Vrabel and that team won a whole bunch of games, won the division. They're in the AFC title game. We've talked about the schedule, and I don't obsess over the schedule because you got to play whoever's on it, but they played a lot of bad offenses down the stretch. You get into the playoffs, look what their offense did against the Chargers. Not much. Look what their offense did against the Texans. Forget about the final score. They were given a pick six and 5 other turnovers. Their offense did not look good. Drake May, 6 fumbles and 2 interceptions in 2 postseason games against really good defenses in the Chargers and the Texans. So I like the under there. Do you see Drake May struggling against this Denver defense like he has in the first 2 playoff games?
Yeah, I think quarterbacks struggle against this Denver Broncos defense, period. I mean, like I said, they are very good. And the fact that we've seen Drake May fumble the football, what does that do? That opens the door. Teams are going to be targeting that, and they're going to be trying to get the ball out of his hand. And what? Listen, me. I'm a huge Drake May fan, right? I loved him coming out of college. Had a rough go at the beginning with the Patriots, but now has a great offensive coordinator. Doesn't have the best weapons around him, but they're working on that. He's got a solid offensive line. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL and passes 20 yards or more. If he has the time to deliver those, I think that he's going to be able to, as we like to say, matriculate the ball down the field. I think this is going to be a rough go for both quarterbacks because these defenses are so good. Vrabel has that Patriots defense playing exceptionally well. So hence again why I like the under. But you're right. In order for the Patriots to win this game, Drake May cannot afford those turnovers. He needs to shut that down.
On the Jared Stidham side, you had said don't underestimate Jared Stidham. Ben Fawkes, who works for Yahoo Sports and used to write an article for us at ESPN on ESPN Chalk, every year he wrote an article about how much difference there is between the starting quarterback and the backup quarterback after interviewing bookmakers across the country. He did that article this year for Yahoo and said the difference between Bo Nix and Jared Stidham should be between 3 and 4 points. This line moved 7 points, now 6 points. Why the gross, to me, overreaction from the books where the look-ahead line, you said it what Denver would have been with Bo Nix. Let's actually say what it was. The look-ahead line was Denver -1.5 before they announced the Bo Nix injury. Swung all the way to 5.5, now down to 4.5. That a bit of an overreaction?
I think so. And the books are probably like, yeah, are you kidding? Jared Stidham, backup quarterback, he's going to get destroyed. Look at the Patriots defense. Look what they did against C.J. Stroud. Right? In that Texans game. So the books are probably, teasing, dangling that carrot for wagers to go out there and lay the 5.5 or the 6.5 or the 4.5, whatever it is with the Patriots. I'm telling you, I'm not doing it because again, I believe in Jared Stidham. I think he's one of the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL. I believe in Sean Payton. I think he's one of the best head coach / offensive coordinators in the NFL. He's going to have Jared Stidham ready. And again, I don't think he changes their game plan. In fact, I know we're going to get into prop bets. Jared Stidham over 18.5 passing completions. Bo Nix, second lowest pressure rate among starting quarterbacks this season, which means that Broncos offensive line is going to protect him. And Peyton's offense built on quick reads. I think there'll be a lot of quick throws. And Knicks average about 23 completions per game. So you give me Jared Stidham at 18.5, I'm all over it.
So we both like the under in this game. The unders moved from 40.5 all the way up to 43.5. There's some 42.5s out there. As far as the side, you're staying away. I lean Denver, and I'm going to throw out a stat. Obviously, you take it with a grain of salt. All games are different. But our friend of the program, Evan Abrams from the Action Network, if the line closes at 4 or higher, right now it's 4.5, home dogs of 4 or more points are 9-0 ATS in the last 50 years of the playoffs, including the Carolina Panthers covering against the Rams 2 weeks ago. 4 or more home dogs, 9-0 ATS. That doesn't mean they win, but 9-0 ATS. So if you like that number, go ahead and take the Denver Broncos. You're listening to the Betting with Bearman podcast presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. She's Anita Marks of ESPN. Let's dive into those player props. I know you love player props. We used to write a column every week on games at ESPN, and you would give me 1,000 player props and loved every minute of it. So let's dive in. You said Jared Stidham over completions. What else do you like on the card?
Yeah, I've got a few touchdowns here, even though, again, I'm on the under. Touchdowns are going to be scarce. However, I do believe that RJ Harvey is going to be the beneficiary of the touchdowns that I believe that the Broncos are going to score. In fact, I've got him scoring. I'm going to put him scoring 1 touchdown. I have him scoring the first touchdown. I'm even going to throw in that he's going to score 2 touchdowns. He's got 15 touchdowns on the season, 7 rushing, 5 receiving. New England's defense, like I said, better with Milton Williams now. But I think with Jarrett Stidham, I think it's going to be short, quick passes. I think RJ Harvey is going to be a really big part of that. And let's not forget Franklin. Like I said, Franklin and Bryant, they're coming in questionable. Would not be surprised if both of them are inactive, or if one of them are. I think Harvey's going to get a heavy workload. And then on the opposite side, same thing. I because both these defenses are so good, I'm really putting a lot of stock in these running backs. You can get Henderson to score anytime touchdown at plus 195, or Stevenson to score a touchdown at plus 125. So the Broncos, as we know, they have a very solid defense, but I do believe that they're a little susceptible, especially to running backs in the red zone. So I'm going to be playing all 3 running backs to score a touchdown. I'm even going to throw some extra coin on Harvey to score the first touchdown and for him to have 2 touchdowns in the game.
So before we move on to the NFC, give me a score prediction for the AFC Championship.
Oh boy. 2017.
2017 Patriots?
Yeah, 2017. I do believe the Patriots are going to win. I do believe that the Denver Broncos are going to cover. And I would not be shocked if the Denver Broncos win. I really wouldn't. Like I said, I just don't sleep on Jarrett Stidham, folks. He's not an Andy Dalton by any stretch of the imagination. He's just not.
I like that score prediction, but I'm going to flip it. I'm going to go with the home team, Denver winning outright 20-17. Maybe it's a little bit of me not being able to stomach the Patriots going back to the Super Bowl again, having lived in this New England area as long as I have, or maybe it's the Jarrett Stidham thing. But I do.
But time out. Let's have this conversation, because you know me, I'm not a big Tom Brady fan. Huge surprise. I know. Everybody thinks he's the GOAT. I don't. Do I think he's top 3 of all time? Absolutely. But if you look at the division he played in, amongst other things, no, I don't think he's the greatest of all time. So, there's a little like bad taste in a lot of people's mouths who were not fans of Tom Brady, but and I was one of them, but this is a different feel. This is a different vibe with Vrabel, and especially it wasn't just Tom, it's Bill Belichick as well. This is how can you not love Mike Vrabel? How could you not adore Drake May? It's just
the answer to that question. You grew up a Dolphins fan. You moved to New England. Everybody around you either likes the Giants, Jets, or the Patriots. And they obviously come out of the closet when their team is good. For a couple of years, I'm coaching youth football. And for a couple of years, I got kids whose parents would wear those Patriot hats, and you could step on them while they're down. And then they wouldn't wear the hats anymore. Everybody's back out. Just go to the local Target. There's Patriot stuff everywhere. It's just one of those 20 years. And they're back.
David, listen. I'm talking about fans outside. Obviously, if you're a fan of the Jets, if you're a fan of the Dolphins, if you're a fan of the Bills, you hate the Patriots. If you're a Patriots fan, obviously you're doing I'm talking about outside of that division. There is some really deep-seated hate for the Patriots and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Deep-seated.
They win all the time.
And what I'm saying is a different feel. There's a different vibe here around this Patriots team with Vrabel and Drake May.
I just don't think
they're 2 dudes you want to root for. They're 2.
I agree with you in theory. But it hasn't been long enough. It's only been 6 years. It hasn't been long enough. So now look
who's there now.
But look at the Kansas City Chiefs. I, for one, think what the Kansas City Chiefs did over the last decade has been phenomenal. I love Patrick Mahomes. I love Andy Reid. I got to go to 2 Super Bowls where I saw the Chiefs. I love what they've done. 98% of this country hates the Chiefs because they win and they win and they win and they win. People don't like winners unless it's yours. And that's the sentiment around the Patriots. It's like we had 2 decades of it, and now they're back. Listen, the New England Patriots lost Tom Brady, lost Bill Belichick, were gone for a couple of years, and rebuilt it all again. And the Miami Dolphins still haven't won a playoff game. And the Jets have 17 straight years without a playoff win. And other teams, imagine you're a fan of the Detroit Lions or Cleveland Browns. You Same thing you say with Kansas City enough. Now, I like Kansas City. It's just the fan sentiment of it's not my team. My team can't win. Why does one fan base get it all the time? That said, you're 100% right. You want to root for Drake May. You want to root for Mike Vrabel. It's a coach and a quarterback I wanted the Miami Dolphins to get. It is what it is, but I understand why people wouldn't want New England to be good so fast. Like, they had 2 decades of it. Don't show me the 6 banners over and over and over again and hang a 7th. People started hating the Cowboys. People started hating the Niners, the Lakers, the Celtics. A lot of people hate the Yankees. You want someone else. I thought the Chiefs being good again was a good thing for football.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? All right. You want to talk about Seattle?
Let's talk about Seattle. Here's a line, Anita, that hasn't moved at all. It opened at 2.5. It stayed at 2.5. The over-unders moved a little bit from 47.5 down to 46.5. Not a tremendous difference. This is the trilogy here. We've seen these 2 teams before. Rams at Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 2.5, 46.5. It's the late game on Sunday. What do you like about this one?
I love Seattle. I just do. I love this team. I think they're the best team in football. I mean, they won. We can argue, right, that the NFC West was the most competitive, most difficult division in all of sport. Maybe this season, they come off a 41-6 humiliation of San Francisco. Everybody, Kyle Shanahan, the greatest offensive mind ever in the history. No, 41-6. Yeah, Kyle, that happened. This is a Seattle team, more rested. They're playing at home. They've got that 12th man at Lumen Field. By the way, they're 11-2 straight up in the postseason since that stadium opened. And here's another one for you. The Rams, this will be their 3rd consecutive road game. Since week 16, they have logged over 13,500 total air miles. And somebody said to me, it's private, it's private jet. Doesn't matter. You're still up in the air. You're moving around. You're here. You're there. You're everywhere. Meanwhile, this is a Seattle team. I think they've played 1 game since January 1st or something insane like that. The Seahawks have since week 16, they've just traveled 6,000 miles. Okay, so LA has traveled double than what Seattle has had to do. On top of that, I know I buried the lead. To me, they've got the best defense in this postseason, and nobody talks about special teams. I don't know why. It's the 3rd component as to why teams win football games. Hence, we saw what happened with Indiana and your University of Miami, or our University of Miami Canes. Special teams is so important, and the Seattle Seahawks, their special teams, they're having a historic year, and nobody's talking about special teams. So I think Seattle checks all 3 boxes. And also, again, we're talking about like cool dudes and good dudes you want to root for. How do you not want to root for Sam Darnold? He's here in New York with a horrible Jets organization seeing ghosts, gets totally embarrassed on national television because he was mic'd up, then, become somewhat of a journeyman, right? Spent some time in San Francisco, spent some time in Minnesota, got his opportunity in Minnesota, then with that opportunity, got paid in Seattle. And now is 1 game away from taking the Seattle Seahawks to a Super Bowl. I just, I love stories like this. I love people who persevere. And that's what Sam Darnold has been able to do. So not only am I going to lay my hard-earned money on the Seattle Seahawks -2.5, I'm rooting for this team, and I'm rooting for that guy.
So nothing you said is wrong, and I'll even throw a stat out there that'll back up your travel thing. When the 3rd road game of the season in the playoffs, teams that have done that, 12-30 straight up, 9-28 straight up as an underdog. So it's not wrong what you said. They've traveled a lot. Everything you've said about Seattle's defense and special teams and the fact that they're more rested, all of that is accurate and true. And I'm still going to go on the other side and take the LA Rams. Now, a little bit of information here. I've been on the Rams since July. Literally on this podcast, gave out the Rams as my Super Bowl play. Had them playing the Ravens. That didn't work out. Gave the Rams out as the NFC West champion. Gave them out. Have Matt Stafford MVP. So I've been all over the Rams. You're not wrong. It is the 3rd game in a row on the road. Only 1 team has won the first 2 games on the road this playoffs. It is the Rams. I'm going to disagree with who's the better team. They both have outstanding offenses. The Rams' numbers have been better. Both have outstanding defense. Seattle's numbers have been better. We've seen this matchup twice already. The point total, 58-57. The yardage total, 830 to 829. Insignificant right there down the middle. I watched both of these games. The first one, Los Angeles made Sam Darnold see ghosts again with 4 interceptions, and they won the game. The second one, and you can't really argue this, LA dominated that game in Seattle, had a 16-point lead in Seattle in front of the 12th man, and blew it. A couple of 2-point conversions, one of which was ridiculous. Blew it, lost in overtime, even scored in overtime, and then Mike McDonald went for 2 and won that game. To me, the Rams have outplayed the Seahawks both times they played. You're getting a veteran team with a veteran coach and a veteran quarterback, both who have won the Super Bowl before. Seattle has not. On the road, getting 2.5 points. I like the Rams in this one. I don't disagree with you about Seattle and how good they are, and it would not surprise me at all to see Seattle win this game. I just feel that in this particular matchup, the Rams have outplayed the Seahawks in both matchups, and they outplayed them more in Seattle than they did at home, as they almost blew the lead twice. And I'm going to take the points with the team that I think is the best team in football. You think Seattle is. Can't really argue. They're 2 of the best teams in football, and I'm really glad we get this matchup again.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Also, there's a futures bet out there. Which conference do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? And you could wager that the NFC conference is going to win the Super Bowl at I think it's minus 165 or minus 168. I think that's a really good futures bet because I think whether it's the Rams or the Seahawks, whoever wins this game, I think wins the Super Bowl. So I think, to me, that's probably one of my favorite futures bets, is that an NFC team is going to win the Super Bowl.
And I agree that the NFC team will win the Super Bowl. The 165 and having a team win 2 straight games, not necessarily that bad of a lay there. I do think the winner of this game does win the Super Bowl. Let's dive into the prop market. What do you like in this game and these matchups? Obviously, everyone's going to want to bet on Puka Nacua, who gets 10 catches a game as it is. Is there anything that you like in this one?
Yeah, I've got 2 prop bets, and that's on the Seattle side. One is JSN. I have him scoring a touchdown. He's the guy that Sam Darnold looks for, especially when they're in the red zone, especially in not only, inside the 20 again. I think he had a much easier time handling the Rams secondary. You said you watch both games, then you know that, as opposed to, he was kind of hit or miss against the San Francisco 49ers. In 2 starts against LA this year, 7 of 25 targets for over 200 yards and a touchdown. I think he finds the end zone again on Sunday night. And then, unfortunately, Char Barnet is done for the season because of the injury. I feel really bad for him. He's one of my favorite running backs in the NFL. Therefore, Kenneth Walker, I think, is going to be uber utilized. I've got 17.5 total receiving yards. I'm going to go over that. He cleared this line in 7 of 11 games since week 9. And that's running 50% of the routes because Char Barnet was active and attractive. So now he doesn't have to split that. He's going to be running, let's say, 80 to 85% of those routes. And so I think he's going to take on a bigger role. Love him. And I do believe that the Rams are going to be uber aggressive and try to come after Sam Darnold, because that's how you get to Sam Darnold, right? That's the biggest knock on him. He gets pressured. He gets flustered. He throws picks. He's not a good quarterback. So I think the Rams are going to be coming after Sam Darnold. He's going to be looking to get off the ball quickly. And so I think he's going to be looking Kenneth Walker's way. So I like over 17.5 total receiving yards. Might be my favorite bet in this matchup.
Okay, and what is your score prediction for the NFC Championship game?
I don't think it's going to be too high scoring. I think it'll be higher than the Patriots and the Denver Broncos. If I had to guess, I'd say something like 24-20, something in that round, 24-20, 23-20, something around there.
And you're going with Seattle.
I am going with Seattle. And I think Seattle wins the Super Bowl.
And I'm going to go 27-24 with the LA Rams and hoping for a Rams-Broncos Super Bowl. Might get a Rams-Patriots Super Bowl. Obviously, we've seen Rams-Patriots, we've seen Seattle-Patriots, and we've seen Seattle-Denver. We haven't seen LA-Denver. So maybe that's...
Let me ask you this, because a lot of people think the NFL's rigged. I don't, but a lot of people do, right? So what do you think would be the most attractive Super Bowl? What Super Bowl matchup do you think the NFL is desiring?
Well, anybody who thinks it's rigged should not download this podcast or follow me on Twitter X, because just those people are far out there. I think the most attractive Super Bowl would be let's cross the country and do Rams Patriots, just because the Patriots base has exploded over the years with their dynasty. The Rams are LA. I know LA is a difficult market, but it is a large market. But I think you would get a lot more eyeballs. I mean, 100 million people are going to watch the game anyway on Rams Patriots than in any other matchups. You know, Denver has a strong base. Obviously, they had many, many good years in Super Bowls. I don't think it's as strong as the Patriots. And Seattle, listen, Seattle's a great market, great fans. It's just not an explosive market. Outside of the Northwest, not many people follow or care about the Seattle Seahawks. So yeah, I'm going to go, I think Rams Patriots would be the biggest one.
I think Seattle Patriots. I think Seattle Patriots. I think the fan base for Seattle far exceeds the Rams. I mean, listen,
well, I
don't know if you'd have been to games at SoFi Stadium, but whether it's the Rams or the Chargers, it's always the other team's fan base that's there. It's ridiculous.
The general public, the people that you really need to watch that game, they know who Matt Stafford is. They know who Puka Nacua is. They know who Sean McVay is. I'm not sure. Like, if I went and asked my wife, who I know you love dearly, and she's going to watch the game, she knows who Stafford, Nacua, and McVay are. I'm not sure she could pick McDonald out of a lineup, Sam Darnold out of a lineup, or Jackson Smith and Nigga out of a lineup. Just, again, that's just overall fandom. You're right about the base. The Seattle base versus the LA base, it's not comparable. But I think as a country tuning in, more people have heard of LA players than they have Seattle.
At the end of the day, we're all just tuning in for Bad Bunny. So say cheese. Of course. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
So those were the two games. You're listening to the Betting with Bearman podcast presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Anita Marks from ESPN joining us. A lot of coaching moves have been made. Recently, there's 10 openings, 3 have been filled. The Miami Dolphins got Jeff Hafley, Green Bay Packers defensive coordinator, and then the 2 veteran coaches that were let go in John Harbaugh and Kevin Stefanski found homes in the Giants and the Falcons. You've covered the Giants for many decades. Let's start there. Your thoughts on what Harbaugh is going to do to that Giants football team.
Yes. So a little known fact about me, before I came to New York, I was in Baltimore, and I was there for the transition of Brian Billick. I know I'm dating myself. I was there for the transition of Brian Billick and John Harbaugh, and talk about a huge swing of organizational culture. It was tough. It was a tough pill to swallow for Ray Lewis, for Chris McAllister, for Jamal Lewis. Well, Jamal wasn't on the team. I think it was Willis McGahee and Ray Rice. But nonetheless, Harbaugh comes in, him, his brother, his dad, they have a certain way. It's their way or the highway. There's this is how it's going to be. I think the Giants are in for a huge organizational culture shift. In fact, we heard it today. Ronnie Barnes, who many people feel is like one of the best medical staff doctors in the league, is going to have a different role now with the Giants. That is huge. That speaks volumes in regard to how much power the Giants now have given John Harbaugh. So I'm really curious. I'm really curious. I'm going to sit back and see how this all unfolds. I think it's really, really hard to be the head coach and to be a leader of men if you don't micromanage or don't allow other people to do their jobs as well. And so I think the Giants gave up the keys to the car to John Harbaugh, and I think it's going to be a lot. And I think that this transition is going to be difficult for a lot of people in that building. I know the fan base and everybody is all excited because how much Harbaugh and the Ravens have won, and they've been in the Super Bowl. I mean, they've been in the playoffs every year. I think it's going to take some time for this whole thing to kind of get into a rhythm and get into a flow. And I think there's a lot on the plate for John Harbaugh now, since he's been given the platter of everything on the Giants. So jury's still out for me. Also, if you look at the schedule for the Giants next year, their win total, by the way, is 8.5. I'm going to go under. They have to play the NFC West next year. Mm-hmm. Their schedule it wasn't a walk in the park this year. It's not a walk in the park next year. I think there's going to be some growing pains. And another thing, I'm not sold on Jackson Dart, not because I don't think he's a great quarterback, but dude's got to learn how to play football where he doesn't get injured. You can't play with reckless abandonment and expect to have a longevity in the NFL, somebody needs to sit that young man down and say, listen, you can't play like this. But at the same time, maybe he's so great because he does play with reckless abandonment and he doesn't know how else to play. But now you're risking longevity. Like, I'll be surprised if he can stay healthy for all 17 games.
I mean, you hit all the points I was going to hit on. I even had this conversation last night. As much as we're surrounded by Patriot fans, there's also numerous Giant fans here. Everyone's like, Giants are going to win it all. Harbaugh's here. You got to pump the brakes a little bit. And the example I gave last night to those that don't follow it as closely as we do, if you had to choose between the 2025 Ravens and the 2025 Giants, which one would you choose? 10 out of 10 people would choose the Ravens, and John Harbaugh didn't get that team to 9 wins in the playoffs this year. I know Lamar was injured, but Jackson Dart was injured. Neighbors was injured. A lot of people were injured. Didn't get that team to 9 wins. Why would you think he'd get the Giants team to 9 wins? Listen, if everybody's healthy and they get on board, maybe it can happen, but this is a team that won 4 games this year. Slow it a little bit, and 2 of them were the last 2 weeks of the season when nobody cared. Jackson Dart has not won many football games. He hasn't won many football games that mattered if you take away the 2 at the end. Neighbors, major injury coming off of. You got Scattaboo, major injury coming off of. Are they going to be better? I feel they will be. Are they going to win 9 games? I seriously doubt it. So, quick thoughts on any of the other hires or openings around the league before we wrap the show up.
Yeah, McDermott. Where does he go? I'm dare I use the word shocked? Like, I'll use it. Like, I'm whoever lands him, kudos to you. I think he's a phenomenal coach, and I'm borderline shocked that the Buffalo Bills let him go. Wow, I don't like.
Evidently making the playoffs every year.
If I'm a team in need, that's the coach I'm calling right now. And as they say, not letting him leave my building.
Yeah, and he obviously had trouble getting over the hump, and I think this year hurt with no Lamar, no Burrow, no Mahomes. They didn't get it done, but still, if you don't like winning the division every year, making the playoffs every year, I don't know what's wrong with that. So I would sign up for that in a heartbeat. Anita, it's been lovely as always. Where can people find you? I know you have your hands in a lot of different pots, so the floor is yours to sell everything you got. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so contributing on SportsCenter for all things ESPN gambling, typically on every Tuesday on the 2, the 5, and the 6 o'clock SportsCenter. I have my own podcast, On the Mark with Anita Marks. You can find me on YouTube, also on Instagram at Anita Marks, TikTok, all the things, and am producing a ton of content across the board, not just NFL, but March Madness is right around the corner. The NFL Draft is around the corner. As you know, I handicap golf as well as the Triple Crown. Love the Triple Crown, love horse racing. So all the things, make sure you follow me on all things social media.
And you are going to fill a whole bunch of different slots on this podcast with the horse racing, the golf, and of course the NFL draft. So we're going to bring you back. Loved having you on. I do miss the Friday 11 p.m. hit I used to do on your radio show. Used to make me look smart when I would pick the golf winner every Friday night on your show. So thanks for being on here. She's Anita Marks. I'm David Bearman. This was Betting with Bearman presented by FanDuel Sportsbooks. Make sure you go on to the Believe Podcast Network, click, download, like, and everything, and check Anita out on ESPN. You don't want to miss it.